right, so here we go. Today I'm Zoe Alex. Welcome. Basically, we're going to figure out what's going to happen today. Um, basically, I'm very a little bit depressed. Why? Let me say about Let me say about why I'm depressed. Well, because the point being is that in this reading that I just did, whoever you are, Leo and Virgo, this is what it seems to be. Okay, this is it's heck, it's bad, it's a bad reputation, whatever it is. But I'm going to tell you what the story is, and then you will see it, and then you can do the comments below if you decide to. This will premiere when it gets around to it. Just pay attention to what are you doing, because that's what it seems to be. Okay. So I'll read you the dice information too. If you're 1 years old, if you're 35 years old, 53, if you're 15, if you're 13, if you're 51, if you're 31, whatever those numbers are. Okay. But the point being is that in the story, oh my God, like here it is. So basically, you have the 10 of clubs that represents Leo, the 10 of diamonds represents Virgo. Okay, so if these two are not working together, okay. So this is what it seems to be. It says, once upon a time, Virgo had the power of trust with Leo. Then Leo had security with a cash flow of money. And while Leo didn't know it, Virgo robbery, Virgo robbery cash load of money out of Leo had no reputation, and then they reflection without each other. They had no priorities, no intention, bad reputation right there. So, for instance, Virgo had had not robbery out of Leo, out of cash flow of money. Like, you know, that doesn't make sense. But it does in a way because Virgo robbery, not the last name, okay, it's not really that. But the robbery, who's robbing the cash load of money out of Leo, had no reputation, and then they reflection without each other. So basically, they didn't get along. Okay, they didn't get along in this situation. They did not. Why? Let me explain. Because when I did the dice, when I did the dice, okay. Now the dice numbers is 135, but the point being is that if you're January 1st, uh, third month is March, and fifth month is May in that situation, right? With all these numbers here, the 1.3, 3.1, 1.5, 5.1, 3.5, whatever it is. Priorities, priorities, reflection, intention, reputation, power, trust. Like all these, right? And now when you think about this, you think, oh, I did something wrong. Exactly, right? You're doing something wrong because that's what it seems to be, right? You're kind of like doing this as a way, if you're doing this as a bad way, whatever it is. But you must remember that priorities is very good, but when you have bad reputation, if it's between friends or family or relatives or you're not getting along, then it's like, who is being mean to the other one, right? Because when you look at Virgo or you look at Leo, Leo is a fire sign, Virgo's a earth sign, right? They kind of do get along, but they don't get along, right? And that's what happens to friends or family, right? And when you have all this situation, you have to remember how it is, right? There's always a good way, there's always a bad way, right? But when you have this, you just have to remember that this is not a sing and dance competition. This is not a robbery against friends or family or whatever it is, right? Your priority is basically respectful, right? This is why it seems to be this, right? Because you had power of trust. You look at ways, right? Leo has security, everything else. But the point even when everything clashes together, then they had no priorities, no intention, but bad reputation, then let's start there. Bad reputation, right? So, you have a good reputation. Let's say you're going for a job, for example. You're going for a good reputation, you're ready to do the resume, you're ready to do the interview, you're doing everything else. Then when you have a bad reputation, then you don't have the priority about being interviewed or anything like that. You're having a bad reputation, you know. So, if you look at these two, if you look at the 10 clubs, the 10 diamonds, Leo and Virgo at the same time, you have to look at this in order to prioritize this, right? You have to look at that, right? Because whenever you see it as a way of how you see it, as you describe it, as you do whatever you want, that's what this is, you know, because you have to think about this, you have to think about this, right? You have to look at this, right? You have to look at this as a bird's eye view. You look at things from a different angle. You look at things from the right side up or upside down or whatever. Picture perfect, whatever it seems to be. But when you look at this, I hope it can give you a good reputation, right? It will give you some kind of way of knowing to be perfectly well approved, right? And well respectful. But when you have the 10 diamonds, the 10 clubs, and they don't get along, then that means that they're not going to get along, right? So if you look at this, you have to be you have to be uh, respectful, right? And when you're not having respectful, you're not having respect, right? Like priority is the first thing, reflection is the second, intention is the third, the fourth is reputation, the fifth is power of trust. All those, right? But when you don't have all those, then what's the issue, right? So before I let you all go, there's always one thing that you have to remember is that you have to pay attention. Pay attention of who, what, where, when, why, and sometimes how. Right? You have to look at that. You have to look at that and say, wow, I am doing this as professionally. Am I doing this the right job? Am I doing this the right way? Am I, do this as much as I can? That's what it is, right? But it is depressing about how Leo is and how Virgo is, right? This is what it seems to be. So there's always a will and there's always a way, right? And when you do that, you have to look at that. You have to look at this first, right? And this second, or vice versa. You look at this first, then look at this, right? Because, you have to understand about that, right? You have to understand about everything that's going on here. You know, everything can be all great, everything will be all dandy, everything all be short and sweet, whatever. But you have to remember that this is more interesting than the other. That's what it is, right? So if you look at this from this way and this way, look at that. Look at this and then look at this, right? Look at the two, right? You look at the first one, you look at the second one, right? That's what makes sense. Because in my own reputation, my own understanding, you have to remember that you can look at this and say, okay, I did whatever I asked you to do. Yeah, sure. But the point being is that you have to look at this from a different angle, a different way, right? So when you look at this, it's like you can't rob people. You can't do that. You can do that if you want to, but you're gonna have consequences, which means you're gonna be vulnerable, you're gonna be attacked, you're gonna be whatever you choose to do. So think about this, and I hope that this will get through your head because that's what it seems to be. All right? So think about this, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, and have a good day to you all. See you later. Bye for now.